Mindset Reset. Let go of limiting beliefs and start winning. Written and narrated by Imperium Audiobooks. There's a moment in every person's life when they look at where they are and realize they've been standing in their own way all along. Not because the world is unfair. Not because opportunity is missing. But because deep down, something inside whispers, "You're not ready. You're not good enough. You can't do that." That whisper, quiet, consistent, poisonous, becomes a prison. You don't see the bars, but you feel them. Every time you hesitate, every time you shrink back, every time you sabotage the thing you said you wanted, those bars tighten. And the truth is, it's not life holding you back. It's your beliefs. Welcome to Mindset Reset. Let go of limiting beliefs and start winning. A journey designed to dismantle the invisible barriers between who you are and who you could become. This book isn't about motivation. Motivation fades. This is about reprogramming your thinking. It's about understanding how your mind creates your reality and how to rewrite that code so it finally works for you, not against you. We've been taught to chase success through effort, but true success begins with alignment. You can't build a powerful life with a powerless mind. You can't rise while your beliefs keep pulling you down. Every chapter in this audiobook is a reset, a mirror, a challenge, a transformation point. You'll learn to identify the beliefs that secretly control your decisions, the narratives that hold you hostage, and the hidden fears that have been disguised as logic. We'll dig into why you settle when you should soar, why you say yes when your heart screams no, and why your comfort zone, that soft, familiar place, is really a trap built by fear. By the end of this book, you'll know how to release the weight that's been silently holding you back. You'll start thinking differently, acting boldly, and creating results that reflect the person you were meant to be, not the one you've been conditioned to stay as. Because when you change your mind, you change your life. When you shift your beliefs, the world rearranges itself around your new reality. This isn't just another audiobook. It's a mental reset, a blueprint for freedom, a guide to finally breaking the cycles that kept you repeating the same stories year after year. So take a breath. Let go of everything you think you know about yourself. And get ready, because once you reset your mindset, there's no going back. Only forward, only higher, only stronger. Welcome to the beginning of your comeback. Chapter 1. The Invisible Cage. How limiting beliefs quietly control your life. If someone locked you in a room and threw away the key, you'd notice immediately. You'd fight, scream, look for a way out. But if someone taught you from birth that the door was locked, even when it was wide open, you'd never try to leave. That's how limiting beliefs work. They don't chain your hands. They chain your thinking. They convince you that freedom isn't possible, that certain dreams aren't for people like you. They whisper that you're too late, too unprepared, too flawed. And you believe it because it sounds like your own voice. Every person alive is walking around with invisible cages built by experiences, upbringing, culture, and fear. You can't see them, but they're there in your hesitation, your excuses, your patterns. You might call it reality, but often it's just programming. Brain 1, the birth of a belief. Every belief you hold started as a story. Someone told you what was possible. Someone told you who you were. Someone told you what people like you could achieve, and you accepted it. Maybe it was a parent, a teacher, a boss, or society itself. You learned to equate safety with smallness. You learned to equate comfort with control. You learned to equate failure with shame. And then you grew up and called it being realistic. But realism without vision becomes resignation. You start building walls around your potential and calling them boundaries. You stop dreaming because you don't want to be disappointed again. You stop trying because you don't want to feel like you failed. You stop living. Limiting beliefs aren't logical. They're emotional scars turned into rules. And those rules silently dictate every choice you make. Magnifying glass still to the left too. The subtle sabotage. Here's how limiting beliefs operate. They don't shout, they whisper. When opportunity knocks, they say, "You're not ready." When someone compliments you, they say, "They don't really mean it." When you start improving, they whisper, "Don't get too confident." They hide behind good reasons. They sound practical. They sound like wisdom. But in truth, their fear disguised as advice. You think you're protecting yourself, but really, you're protecting your limitations. That's why so many people work hard and still feel stuck. They're hustling inside the cage, running in circles, mistaking movement for progress. Because effort means nothing when it's directed by the wrong mindset. You can't outwork a belief that says you're not worthy. You can't build wealth with a belief that says money is evil. You can't build love with a belief that says you're unlovable. Beliefs become self-fulfilling prophecies. You don't see the world as it is. You see it as you believe it to be. Unlock 3. How the cage is reinforced. Most people never question their beliefs because they confuse familiarity with truth. If something feels normal, it must be real, right? Wrong. Normal just means you practiced it long enough. Every time you repeat a thought, your brain reinforces it. It builds stronger neural pathways. It creates evidence to prove itself right. You think you're observing reality, but your brain is curating it to fit your expectations. If you believe people can't be trusted, you'll find betrayal everywhere. If you believe success is for the lucky, you'll overlook opportunity even when it's in your hands. If you believe you're not good enough, you'll sabotage anything that proves otherwise. The mind seeks confirmation, not contradiction. So the longer you live inside a limiting belief, the harder it is to see beyond it. You start mistaking your own thoughts for universal laws. But remember this, the cage is self-made and self-breakable. High voltage 4, breaking the pattern. The first step to freedom is awareness. You can't break what you won't name. Ask yourself, what stories do I keep telling myself about why I can't succeed? Who told me that? Is that their truth or mine? Most limiting beliefs aren't yours. You inherited them. Someone else's fear became your framework. Someone else's failure became your limit. Someone else's insecurity became your inner voice. It's time to return those beliefs to their sender. You have the power to rewrite every narrative that's ever held you back. Here's how it starts. Catch the thought. Notice when your inner voice says, I can't, I'm not, or that's impossible. Challenge it. Ask, says who, or what proof do I actually have? Change it. Replace it with empowering truth, one that opens possibility instead of closing it. Simple? Yes. Easy? No. But it's how transformation begins, not by changing the world, but by changing what you believe about it. Sunrise 5. The mindset reset in action. Once you start questioning your limits, your reality shifts. That business you thought was too risky suddenly looks like potential. That dream you buried starts whispering again. That person you thought was out of your league starts to look human. You begin to see that the boundaries of your world were never real. They were mental projections. The first time you act beyond an old belief, it feels uncomfortable. Your mind resists. It tells you, go back, stay safe. But that resistance is the sound of the cage cracking. Keep pushing. Each small act of courage rewires your brain to expect success instead of fear it. Each new risk teaches your nervous system that growth doesn't equal danger. That's the reset. That's how you evolve. Some behind small cloud 6. Living without limits. When you remove the belief that you can't, you become unstoppable. Not because life suddenly gets easier, but because your mind stops getting in the way. You stop reacting to fear and start responding to truth. You stop chasing approval and start building alignment. You stop hiding from life and start creating on your own terms. And here's the most powerful realization of all. You never needed permission to win. You only needed to believe you could. The day you decide to stop living in your own shadow is the day your life changes forever. That's the essence of a mindset reset. Not changing who you are, but removing everything that convinced you that you couldn't be great. The cage was never locked. The key has always been in your pocket. Now it's time to use it. Chapter 2. Rewiring the subconscious. How to program your mind for possibility. If your conscious mind is a captain, your subconscious mind is the ocean beneath it. Vast, deep, and powerful enough to decide whether you sail smoothly or sink completely. You can set goals, make plans, and recite affirmations every morning. But if your subconscious is programmed with fear, self-doubt, and failure, you'll keep sabotaging yourself. That's why so many people start strong, but never finish. They're trying to live a new life with an old operating system. You can't install abundance on a mind wired for survival. You can't live in faith while your subconscious is tuned to fear. Rewiring isn't about motivation. It's about transformation. It's the quiet inner engineering that changes how you think, not just what you think. Puzzle piece 1. The power beneath awareness. Scientists estimate that 95% of your daily behavior is controlled by the subconscious mind. Think about that 95%. You brush your teeth the same way, take the same route, think the same thoughts, react the same way, day after day. You're not choosing consciously. You're running code. And that code was written years ago, mostly before you even knew it. Every experience, emotion, and repetition becomes a line of code. If you grew up hearing, money doesn't grow on trees, your subconscious now treats wealth as scarcity. If you were told, don't dream too big, it interprets ambition as danger. If you were criticized for mistakes, it equates effort with shame. The subconscious doesn't argue. It accepts. It doesn't judge. It just executes. So when you try to consciously change your life without changing your programming, it feels like driving with one foot on the gas and one on the brake. You go nowhere fast. Counterclockwise arrows button 2. Awareness, the doorway to reprogramming. The first step in rewiring your subconscious is awareness. You can't rewrite a code you refuse to see. Pay attention to your patterns. What do you automatically tell yourself when something goes wrong? What feelings arise when opportunity appears? Do you default to fear, doubt, or excitement? Your emotional reflexes reveal your hidden programming. If you feel uncomfortable around success, you're subconsciously associating it with danger. If you always expect things to fall apart, you've wired yourself for disappointment. Awareness isn't about judgment, it's observation. The moment you see a pattern, it begins to lose power. Because consciousness is light, and darkness cannot survive where there's light. Brain 3. The science of rewiring. Your brain is not fixed. It's plastic, neuroplastic. That means your thoughts, emotions, and actions constantly shape its wiring. Every time you repeat a belief, you strengthen the neurons that support it. Every time you challenge a belief, you weaken those same connections. Think of it like a path in a forest. The more you walk a trail, the clearer it becomes. Stop walking it, and nature reclaims it. You've been walking paths of fear, doubt, and scarcity for years. Now it's time to stop walking them and start carving new ones. Neuroplasticity proves that you can reprogram your brain for abundance, peace, and confidence through consistent thought, emotion, and repetition. The key word, consistent. You can't affirm new beliefs once and expect miracles. Just like physical exercise, rewiring takes daily repetition, because you're literally sculpting the structure of your brain. 4. The reprogramming formula. There are thousands of techniques for subconscious reprogramming, from meditation to affirmations to hypnosis. But all of them follow one simple process. Step 1. Relax the mind. The subconscious is most open and relaxed, trance-like states, right before sleep, right after waking, or during deep meditation. That's when your brain enters theta frequency. The same frequency children live in naturally, which is why they absorb everything so fast. Step 2. Introduce new beliefs emotionally. The subconscious doesn't respond to logic. It responds to emotion. So when you visualize success, don't just see it. Feel it. Feel gratitude, peace, and pride as if it's already yours. That emotional charge is what makes the subconscious pay attention. Step 3. Repeat until it becomes reality. Your subconscious learns through repetition. The more you affirm a belief, emotionally and consistently, the more it integrates into your identity. That's why you must keep going even when it feels fake. It's not fake, it's formation. Every new thought is a seed. Keep watering it, and it will grow roots. Compass 5. The identity shift. Here's the most powerful truth. You don't get what you want, you get what you are. The subconscious doesn't create based on your wishes. It creates based on your identity. If you see yourself as a struggler, you'll unconsciously seek struggle. If you see yourself as unlucky, you'll attract chaos. If you see yourself as powerful, capable, and deserving, life will mirror that back. You can't live beyond your self-image. So the true work isn't becoming something new. It's remembering who you've always been beneath the programming. Your higher self already knows abundance, peace, love, and freedom. You've just been buried under layers of conditioning. Rewiring means removing the static until the true signal comes through. Every morning, remind yourself, I am not my past. I am not my pain. I am the awareness rewriting my own story. Say it until you believe it, because once the subconscious accepts it, the world will reflect it. Gear 6. Breaking the loop of self-sabotage. When you begin to reprogram your subconscious, you'll notice something strange, resistance. Your mind will try to drag you back to familiar patterns. You'll feel sleepy, distracted, skeptical, even emotional. That's normal. It's not failure, it's friction. The old code is fighting for survival, but the more you persist, the weaker it becomes. The subconscious can't distinguish between repetition and truth. If you keep showing the same empowering image of you thriving, succeeding, and creating, it eventually accepts it as fact. That's when the real magic happens. Your outer world begins to align with your inner vision. Opportunities appear. People shift. Synchronicities multiply. Not because the universe suddenly noticed you, but because you finally notice yourself. Sunrise 7. Living in the new program. Rewiring your subconscious isn't a one-time event. It's a lifestyle. You guard your thoughts like gold. You choose words that build rather than break. You spend time with people who elevate your frequency. You nurture habits that reinforce the identity you're becoming. Because the subconscious listens 24/7, not just during meditation. Every song, movie, conversation, and thought is a command. So make sure you're giving it powerful instructions. Feed it gratitude. Feed it vision. Feed it courage. And watch your life transform. Quietly, naturally, consistently. Shooting Star 8. The mind as a mirror. At the deepest level, the mind is a mirror. It reflects what you project. If you focus on lack, you'll live in lack. If you focus on possibility, you'll live in potential. Your subconscious isn't your enemy. It's your most loyal servant. It doesn't decide what to create. You do. The moment you start giving it new blueprints, it begins building a new life around them. That's not magic. That's alignment. When the conscious and subconscious finally agree, the universe has no choice but to deliver. The power was never lost. It was just buried beneath fear, repetition, and forgotten truth. You were never meant to live small. You were meant to remember your own power. That's the real mindset reset. Not thinking better, but believing differently. Chapter 3. The power of self-image. Becoming the person who deserves success. There's a truth that separates the dreamers from the doers, the talkers from the achievers. You will never outperform the image you hold of yourself. Read that again, let it sink in. Every goal you've ever set, every opportunity you've ever missed, every time you've almost made it but didn't, all of it was filtered through your self-image. Your self-image is not just a mental picture. It's the identity blueprint that dictates what you believe you deserve. It controls how much love, success, money, peace, and respect you allow into your life. Most people don't fail because they can't. They fail because, deep down, they don't believe they're worthy of winning. They've internalized an image of themselves that says, I'm not that kind of person. I'm not smart enough. I always mess things up. And guess what? The subconscious, that faithful servant, obeys. You tell it who you are, and it makes sure reality matches that story. 1. The mirror principle. Every result in your life is a reflection of your self-image. If you see yourself as someone who struggles, your subconscious will lead you to struggle. If you see yourself as someone who thrives, your subconscious will guide you to thrive. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. The universe responds to certainty, and certainty comes from identity. Think of your self-image as the thermostat of your life. You can turn up your effort temporarily, like turning up the heat, but if your internal thermostat is still set to average, it will pull you right back down. That's why lottery winners go broke and former failures become millionaires. It's not luck, it's self-image. Until your identity changes, your results will always reset to the level of who you think you are. Puzzle piece 2. The inherited identity. Here's the thing. You didn't build your self-image alone. You inherited it. From your parents, teachers, friends, society, even television. As a child, your brain was wide open, absorbing, believing, recording. If you were told you were lazy, shy, difficult, or not enough, that became part of your mental identity file. If you were constantly criticized, your subconscious built a story of unworthiness. If you were ignored, it built a story of invisibility. Now, as an adult, those stories still play in the background, silently scripting your actions and emotions. You think you're reacting to life, but you're actually reacting to a memory. Every time you hold back from speaking up, every time you avoid risk, every time you doubt yourself, it's not the real you hesitating. It's the programmed version of you, the one built by other people's voices. And the time has come to rewrite it. Brain 3, the science of self-perception. In neuroscience, there's something called the reticular activating system, the brain's internal filter. It's what helps you notice the things that confirm your beliefs and ignore the things that don't. If you believe you're unlucky, your brain literally tunes into bad breaks and overlooks blessings. If you believe you're capable, your brain scans for opportunities and proof of success. That's why two people can live in the same world, but experience completely different realities. Your self-image determines what your brain notices and what it misses. You might think your world is limited, but in truth, your vision is limited by your identity. Counterclockwise arrows button 4. The identity feedback loop. Your self-image doesn't just influence your results. Your results reinforce your self-image. When you act in line with your identity, your brain rewards you with a feeling of rightness. When you act against it, it creates discomfort, even if it's good for you. For example, if you've always seen yourself as someone who procrastinates, then even when you try to stay disciplined, your subconscious will nudge you back into delay. It feels off to be productive because it contradicts your self-story. That's the trap most people live in, the comfort of familiar pain. But the good news is, the loop can be reversed. You can consciously choose new behaviors that start to rewrite your identity from the inside out. Every time you act like the person you want to be, even if you don't feel ready, you cast a vote for your new self. Eventually, enough votes create a new majority. And that's when your brain says, this is who we are now. Brick 5, building the new self-image. You don't destroy the old identity, you outgrow it. You replace it one decision at a time. Here's how. Step 1, define your ideal identity. Ask yourself, who am I when I'm operating at my highest level? Write it out in vivid detail. How do you speak? Dress? Think? Walk? Handle problems? Clarity creates focus, and focus shapes reality. Step 2, visualize it emotionally. Close your eyes and see yourself as that version. Confident, powerful, calm, successful. Don't just see it. Feel it. The subconscious doesn't know the difference between imagination and experience. It accepts both as truth. Step 3, align your actions. Every day, do something that your higher self would do, even something small. Would that version of you snooze the alarm or start the day strong? Would they complain or take control? Would they shrink or speak with conviction? Each aligned action builds credibility with your subconscious. And soon, belief follows behavior. Light bulb 6, guarding the image. Once you begin rebuilding your self-image, you must protect it like treasure, because the world will try to drag you back into old patterns. People who knew the old you will test the new you. They'll mock, question, even resist your growth, not because they hate you, but because your change challenges their comfort. Don't take it personally. They're reacting to their own insecurities, not your evolution. Hold your vision. Surround yourself with environments that reinforce who you're becoming, not who you were, because your self-image is fragile when it's new, like wet cement. Let the wrong influences step on it, and it hardens in the wrong shape. Stay focused until your new identity becomes unshakable. Fire 7, living as a new you. When your self-image expands, your life follows. You'll stop chasing validation because you already feel worthy. You'll stop fearing failure because you'll know it doesn't change who you are. You'll stop comparing yourself because you'll realize you're on your own timeline. And that's when the magic begins. The world opens up. Opportunities you once thought were beyond you start showing up because they now match your new frequency. This is how transformation truly happens, not from the outside in, but from the inside out. You don't need more luck. You don't need more talent. You need a new story about who you are. Because once you believe you deserve better, your entire reality rearranges itself to prove you right. The person you dream of becoming is not a fantasy. It's your potential self waiting for permission to exist. So stop doubting. Stop delaying. Stop living as the old version of you. You've already outgrown it. Step into the mirror and meet the person you were meant to be. Chapter 4. Breaking Emotional Triggers. Mastering the Inner Storm. Emotions are the fuel of your life. They drive your actions, shape your decisions, and color every experience you have. But when you don't understand them, they can also become the very force that destroys your focus, your relationships, and your peace of mind. Everyone talks about mindset, but few ever talk about emotional mastery. Because mindset is what you think, emotion is what you feel, and your feelings always win. You can't outthink an emotion. You can't logic your way through rage, anxiety, or shame. You can only understand it, regulate it, and transform it. That's the difference between emotional reaction and emotional intelligence. And mastering this is what separates the calm from the chaotic, the grounded from the overwhelmed, and the successful from the constantly stuck. Tornado 1. The nature of emotional triggers. An emotional trigger is a reaction that feels bigger than the moment. Someone says something small, you explode. You see a post online, you feel jealous, sad, or not enough. You face a challenge, you shut down, avoid, or panic. Those reactions aren't random. They're not even about the present moment. They're echoes of the past, stored emotions from experiences you never fully processed. Each time something reminds your subconscious of that old pain, it replays the same emotional pattern as if it's happening again. That's why triggers feel so powerful. They pull you out of the now and throw you back into then. Your logical mind knows it's not a big deal, but your emotional memory screams otherwise. Puzzle piece 2. The emotional imprint. Every emotional wound leaves an imprint. When you were embarrassed in school, abandoned by someone you trusted, or ashamed for being yourself, those moments didn't just fade away. They sank into your subconscious and started shaping how you protect yourself. You built walls. I won't let anyone hurt me again. I'll just keep quiet next time. I'll act like I don't care. But those walls became prisons. Now, instead of protecting you, they're isolating you. Instead of preventing pain, they're preventing growth. Your emotional triggers aren't signs of weakness. They're maps, pointing to the parts of you still asking for healing. Every trigger says, hey, there's something unresolved here. And when you finally listen, really listen, that's when freedom begins. Brain 3. Emotional awareness. The power of the pause. The first step in mastering emotions is awareness. Most people react instantly. They don't pause, they just explode or retreat. But the pause is where transformation happens. That microsecond between stimulus and response, that's your moment of power. When you feel anger rising, instead of lashing out, take a slow breath. When you feel fear creeping in, instead of running, get curious. Ask yourself, what is this emotion trying to teach me? Because every emotion carries information. Anger shows you where your boundaries were crossed. Sadness shows you where something valuable was lost. Fear shows you where you're being called to grow. The goal isn't to suppress these emotions. It's to understand them. The more awareness you bring to the feeling, the less control it has over you. You move from reacting unconsciously to responding intentionally. 4. Healing the source, not the symptom. When you get triggered, your instinct might be to blame the situation or the person, but they're not the real source. They're just mirrors reflecting something unhealed inside you. So instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what inside me is being revealed right now? Maybe that criticism from your boss isn't about the comment itself. Maybe it's awakening the same feeling of not being enough that started in childhood. Maybe that argument with your partner isn't about dishes or messages. It's about an old fear of rejection you never addressed. When you trace your emotional pain to its root, you stop being controlled by it. Because healing isn't about fixing your past. It's about freeing yourself from its emotional weight. And that begins with courage. The courage to sit with your pain long enough to understand it. Fire 5. Emotional transmutation. Turning pain into power. Once you've identified your triggers, the real work begins, transforming them into growth. That process is called emotional transmutation. It's the art of turning low-frequency emotions like anger, fear, and guilt into higher ones like courage, clarity, and determination. Here's how. Acknowledge the feeling. Don't resist it. Resistance gives it power. Say, I'm angry or I'm afraid. Naming it brings it to light. Locate it in the body. Where do you feel it? Chest, stomach, throat? Focus there. Breathe through it. Deep breathing sends a signal to your nervous system. I'm safe. That's what it's teaching you. Every emotion has wisdom. Maybe anger is teaching you to set boundaries. Maybe fear is teaching you to trust yourself. Release and replace. Once you've learned the lesson, imagine exhaling that old emotion and inhaling a new one, peace, strength, or gratitude. It's simple but not easy, because emotional mastery isn't about avoiding storms. It's about learning to dance in the rain. Gear 6. Regulating the nervous system. Your emotions are tied directly to your nervous system, your body's survival network. When you're triggered, your brain thinks you're in danger. Adrenaline spikes. Heart rate rises. Logic shuts down. You're not crazy. You're wired that way. But the good news? You can rewire it. Through grounding practices, breath work, meditation, stretching, journaling, you teach your body that it's safe again. And once the body feels safe, the mind starts to calm. That's why emotional mastery is a daily practice, not a one-time fix. You can't control what happens around you, but you can absolutely control how you respond inside you. Your peace is not a luxury. It's your power. Light bulb 7. Emotional intelligence in action. High performers, true masters of their craft, are not emotionless. They feel deeply. They just don't get lost in the feeling. When things go wrong, they don't spiral. They observe. When someone criticizes them, they don't collapse. They evaluate. When pressure hits, they don't freeze. They focus. That's emotional intelligence in action. The ability to experience emotion without becoming it. It's what keeps you steady when everyone else is panicking. It's what allows you to think clearly in chaos. It's what builds trust, influence, and inner peace. You don't have to eliminate your emotions. You just need to master the art of staying centered through them. Sunrise 8. Living above the trigger. When you learn to regulate your emotions, you stop being a puppet pulled by strings of reaction. You become grounded, centered, unshakable. You start responding to life, not from pain, but from power. You begin to realize that emotional mastery isn't about controlling the outside world. It's about owning your inner one. That's the real flex. The ability to stay calm in the storm, to choose peace when chaos knocks, and to lead with clarity when everyone else is reacting. Your emotions are not enemies to fight. They're messengers to understand. Once you decode their message, you unlock emotional freedom, the kind that can't be shaken by words, failure, or fear. Because when your mind obeys you, when your emotions follow your direction, you're unstoppable. Chapter 5. Unshakable Discipline. Building habits that redefine you. Everyone wants success until they realize it demands discipline. Discipline is the bridge between intention and transformation. It's the muscle that turns motivation into mastery. Yet, for most people, it's the missing link. They start the workout plan, the business, the reading habit, the savings challenge, then stop. They have the vision, but not the structure, the desire, but not the discipline. And without discipline, desire is nothing more than potential, wasted and forgotten. But here's the thing. Discipline isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. And once you build it, it becomes a foundation that carries you through fatigue, boredom, and fear. True discipline isn't about forcing yourself to suffer. It's about aligning your actions with the person you want to become, consistently, until it's natural. Brick 1. The myth of motivation. Most people fail not because they lack motivation, but because they depend on it. Motivation is emotional. It fluctuates. It's high when things feel new and exciting, and disappears when life gets uncomfortable. Discipline, on the other hand, doesn't care how you feel. It's the quiet decision to show up whether you feel inspired or not. That's what separates amateurs from professionals. Amateurs work when they feel like it. Professionals work until it feels right. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the engine. If you rely on the spark, your journey ends the moment the fire fades. If you build the engine, you'll move forward no matter what the weather looks like. Mantelpiece Clock 2. The Law of Consistency. Every great result you admire, the author, the athlete, the entrepreneur, was built on consistency. Not talent, not luck, consistency. Because success is never one massive leap. It's 1,000 small, ordinary steps taken without quitting. Consistency compounds. Like drops filling a bucket, your small daily efforts build into something unstoppable over time. But most people give up too soon. They want instant payoff in a world that pays interest in persistence. You don't see the muscles after one workout. You don't see wealth after one investment. You don't see transformation after one decision. But that doesn't mean it isn't working. Consistency is about faith, trusting that what you do today will pay off tomorrow, even if there's no visible reward yet. Gear 3. Habit architecture. How to build discipline that lasts. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. So if you want lasting discipline, you must design your environment and systems to support it. Here's how. Step 1. Simplify. Don't overwhelm yourself with massive goals. Start small, something so easy you can't say no. 5 push-ups. 10 minutes of reading. Writing 1 paragraph. Small wins reprogram your brain for success. They build trust between intention and action. Step 2. Stack habits. Attach a new habit to something you already do. After brushing your teeth, meditate for 2 minutes. After morning coffee, write your to-do list. After dinner, journal gratitude. This creates rhythm, and rhythm is easier to follow than random effort. Step 3. Design friction. Make good habits easy and bad habits hard. If you want to stop scrolling, keep your phone in another room. If you want to eat healthy, prep your meals in advance. Discipline thrives in environments that support focus, not temptation. Step 4. Track and celebrate. Progress you can see is progress you'll protect. Mark your wins, no matter how small, because acknowledgement fuels momentum. Brain 4. Identity over intensity. Most people try to change their life through intensity, big bursts of effort that fade in days. But lasting change comes from identity, from seeing yourself as the kind of person who does the thing you're trying to do. If you tell yourself, I'm trying to be disciplined, you'll always struggle. If you tell yourself, I am a disciplined person, your actions will start aligning naturally. Your brain follows identity faster than intention. Every time you act in alignment with your new identity, you reinforce it. You're not forcing yourself. You're expressing who you've become. That's how real transformation sticks. Because you don't need more effort, you need more alignment. Fire 5. Emotional discipline. Doing it even when it hurts. The greatest test of discipline isn't how well you perform when things are easy. It's how you act when everything feels heavy, when you're tired, when you're uncertain, when you're scared. That's where discipline earns its name. Because discipline isn't punishment, it's protection. It protects your goals from your moods. It protects your purpose from your excuses. If you only work when you feel good, you'll never build anything great. But when you push through discomfort, when you stay consistent through chaos, you begin to trust yourself. And that trust becomes your superpower. Every time you do what you said you'd do, even when you don't feel like it, you cast a vote for your future self. You're saying, I can count on me. That's the kind of confidence no one can give you. Only discipline can. Puzzle piece 6. The boredom barrier. Discipline will test you most not in difficulty, but in repetition. Greatness is not glamorous. It's boring. Doing the same workouts, the same routines, the same grind, day after day, long after the excitement fades. That's why most people quit. Not because it's hard, but because it's repetitive. But the masters, they learn to love the monotony. They understand that repetition isn't punishment. It's refinement. Every repetition sharpens skill, builds resilience, and deepens mastery. Discipline turns boredom into a forge where excellence is shaped. So when you feel uninspired, remember, That's the signal you're doing it right. Because consistency without excitement is where legends are made. Light bulb 7. Accountability and integrity. Discipline thrives in the presence of accountability. When no one's watching, your integrity becomes your compass. You can lie to the world, but not to yourself. Every skipped commitment chips away at self-trust. Every fulfilled promise rebuilds it. The goal isn't perfection, it's honesty. If you fail, don't hide. Reflect, adjust, restart. Discipline isn't about never falling. It's about never staying down. True discipline isn't rigid, it's resilient. It bends, it adapts, but it never breaks. Because your word to yourself is sacred. And every time you honor it, you strengthen the foundation of who you are. Sunrise 8. The disciplined lifestyle. When discipline becomes who you are, everything changes. You stop negotiating with excuses. You stop chasing motivation. You stop waiting for the perfect time. Because you are the time. You begin to realize that discipline isn't a limitation. It's liberation. It frees you from inconsistency, regret, and emotional chaos. It gives you control in a world that's constantly trying to distract you. Because discipline is not the opposite of freedom. It's the path to it. Freedom is not doing whatever you want. Freedom is the power to do what needs to be done, consistently, without compromise. That's what separates dreamers from doers, and ordinary lives from extraordinary ones. You are what you repeatedly do. So let your habits reflect your greatness. Build discipline so unshakable that even your bad days look productive, because that's how you redefine yourself, one consistent action at a time. Chapter 6. Focus and Flow, the art of deep work in a distracted world. There was a time when focus was easy, before constant pings, endless scrolls, and digital noise filled every quiet space in our lives. Now, attention has become the new currency, and most people are broke. We live in an age of unlimited information, but limited focus. We chase notifications instead of purpose. We mistake busyness for progress, and wonder why we feel empty even after working all day. The truth? The modern world isn't just stealing your time. It's stealing your ability to go deep. Deep work. The ability to concentrate without distraction on cognitively demanding tasks is what separates the average from the extraordinary. It's the birthplace of mastery, innovation, and clarity. And in this chapter, you'll rediscover how to reclaim that depth, how to silence the noise, reclaim your mind, and create from a place of undisturbed power. Direct hit 1. The price of a distracted mind. Distraction is the new addiction. It's subtle, it's seductive, and it's everywhere. You open your phone just to check something, and 30 minutes vanish into thin air. You start a task, then switch tabs, check messages, take a call, open another app, and suddenly the day is gone. Every interruption costs you focus. Every context switch burns mental fuel. And the more you fragment your attention, the weaker it becomes. Your brain wasn't designed for constant input. It was built for focus, for flow, for the deep immersion that leads to meaning. But now, it's trained to crave the next of novelty, a message, a like, a ping. You don't even need someone to distract you anymore. Your mind does it for you. To rise in this era, you must become intentional with your attention, because the world will always fight for it. And if you don't guard it, someone else will own it. Light bulb 2. The power of flow. Flow is that sacred zone where effort disappears and everything just clicks. It's where your mind, body, and purpose align. You felt it before, when hours feel like minutes, when you're lost in what you're doing, when creation feels effortless. That's flow, and it's the most powerful state a human can enter. But here's the key. Flow doesn't happen by accident. It's engineered. You create the right conditions, and flow follows. Psychologists call it the balance between challenge and skill. When a task is too easy, you're bored. Too hard, you're anxious. But right in the middle, where it stretches you without breaking you, that's the zone. Flow isn't a hack. It's a habit. And once you master it, it changes how you live, work, and create. Brick 3. The focus formula. To master focus, you must treat it like a skill, not a mood. You train it. You protect it. You sharpen it daily. Here's the simple, powerful focus formula. Step 1. Define your one thing. Every day. Decide the single most impactful task you can do, the one thing that, if done well, moves everything else forward. Then build your day around it. Step 2, eliminate friction. Silence your phone. Close extra tabs. Clear your workspace. Create an environment where distraction has no place to hide. Step 3, time block deep work. Set specific hours for focus, even 60 to 90 minutes. During that time, no multitasking, no checking, no scrolling, just work. Step 4, reward completion, not intention. You don't get credit for planning, only for finishing. So celebrate results, not routines. Focus thrives in clarity. When you know what matters and remove what doesn't, your energy channels into impact, not noise. Fire 4, the discipline of boredom. We've forgotten how to be bored. The moment there's silence, we reach for our phones. But boredom isn't the enemy. It's the gateway to focus. When you allow your mind to rest, it reorganizes information, forms connections, and fuels creativity. Some of your best ideas will come not when you're working, but when you're walking, showering, or simply sitting in quiet. So practice boredom. Sit without your phone. Wait without entertainment. Let your thoughts breathe. That's how you rewire your brain for stillness, the birthplace of focus. Because silence isn't empty, it's full of answers. Rocket 5, single tasking, the modern superpower. Multitasking is the greatest productivity myth of our generation. You can't do 2 deep tasks at once. You can only switch fast, and every switch costs you clarity. High performers know this truth. Success isn't about doing more. It's about doing one thing fully. When you eat, eat. When you read, read. When you work, work. Presence turns ordinary actions into art. Single tasking feels slower, but it's 10x more efficient. You get less done per minute, but more done per day, and the quality skyrockets. Train your brain to complete, not to juggle. Completion is where confidence grows. Gear 6. Environment equals energy. Your environment shapes your attention. If your desk is cluttered, your mind will be too. If your workspace is noisy, your thoughts will scatter. If your phone is always within reach, your focus will always be divided. Design your environment for depth. That means a clean, quiet workspace, a visible to-do list with one priority, music or silence that supports concentration, devices out of reach during focus blocks. You can't build clarity in chaos. So control what you can, your space, your schedule, your inputs, and focus will naturally follow. Brain 7. Digital discipline. You can't live in the modern world and avoid technology, but you can master your relationship with it. Digital discipline means using your devices consciously, not compulsively. Here's how. Set boundaries. Check messages at specific times, not constantly. Limit noise. Turn off non-essential notifications. Digital detox. Have hours or days where you disconnect completely. Curate your feed. Follow accounts that build you, not drain you. Remember, your attention is being sold every day. Every click, scroll, and notification is designed to steal it. Protect it like your life depends on it, because your future does. Waterwave 8. Entering the flow state. To enter flow consistently, start with a ritual, a cup of coffee, a specific playlist, a stretch. Your brain associates ritual with readiness. Set a clear goal. Flow needs direction. Know what done looks like before you start. Challenge yourself. Too easy, you'll drift. Too hard, you'll quit. Stretch just beyond your comfort zone. Remove all distractions. Once you start, nothing else exists. Don't stop mid-progress. Momentum loves continuation. End your session at a high point. It makes returning effortless. Flow isn't magic, it's management. Manage your energy, environment, and focus, and the state will follow. Sunrise 9. Focus equals freedom. Here's the truth. Most people aren't tired, they're distracted. They're not overworked, they're overstimulated. They spend their lives reacting instead of creating, scrolling instead of growing. But not you. You're learning to take your focus back, to silence the noise and build something that lasts. Because in a world addicted to distraction, clarity is rebellion. Focus is a modern superpower, the great separator between those who chase attention and those who command it. Guard your focus like treasure. Train it daily, and use it to build a life of depth, meaning, and impact. Because when your mind is clear, your path is unstoppable. And that's when you enter the rare air where ordinary people disappear and greatness begins. Chapter 7. Emotional Resilience. Mastering your inner storms. Life will test you. Not once, not twice, but repeatedly. It will push you to your breaking point, strip away your certainty, and dare you to give up. And in those moments, when everything seems to fall apart, that's when emotional resilience steps in. Resilience isn't about being untouched by pain. It's about learning to bend without breaking. It's the ability to rise, adapt, and grow through chaos, to keep moving even when every part of you wants to stop. And in a world that glorifies comfort, emotional resilience is your ultimate competitive edge. Because while others quit when life hits hard, the resilient find strength in the storm. They don't just survive, they transform. High Voltage 1. The reality of struggle. Let's be honest, life doesn't always play fair. You'll face moments that shake your confidence, break your plans, and test your faith in yourself. You'll lose people, opportunities, money, motivation. You'll have days when you question your worth, when everything feels too heavy to carry. That's not failure. That's life. We're taught to chase success, but we're not taught how to handle suffering. Yet it's in the suffering that we grow roots deep enough to handle the weight of success. You can't build strength in comfort. You build it in resistance, in the sleepless nights, the disappointments, the rejections, and the silent battles no one sees. Resilience is not the absence of struggle, it's the mastery of it. Cloud with rain too. Feel it to heal it. Too many people run from their emotions. They distract, suppress, or numb themselves instead of facing the storm. But here's the truth. You can't heal what you won't feel. Pain demands acknowledgement. It's your mind's way of saying, something here needs attention. Resilience isn't about pretending you're okay. It's about having the courage to not be okay for a while. To cry. To admit you're scared. To release the emotions instead of burying them. Because buried emotions don't die. They grow. And one day, they resurface as anxiety, anger, burnout, or bitterness. So, give yourself permission to feel. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. And it's from that honesty that true strength is born. Fire 3. Adaptability. The art of pivoting. Resilience is less about endurance and more about adaptation. When life changes, and it always does, the resilient don't resist it. They pivot. They understand that success isn't about controlling everything. It's about adjusting to what they can't control. You lost a job? Maybe it's redirecting you to your calling. The relationship ended? Maybe it's clearing space for your peace. The plan failed? Maybe it's pushing you toward a better one. Resilient people don't waste time wishing things were easier. They get stronger. They don't ask, why me? They ask, what now? That shift in perspective is where power lives. Brain 4. The emotional gym. Think of resilience like a muscle, one you build through emotional workouts. Every setback, every disappointment, every difficult conversation is a rep. You don't grow in comfort. You grow in challenge. The key is to treat your hardships as training, not punishment. That person who hurt you, they just gave you a lesson in boundaries. That failure, a masterclass in patience. That rejection, a test of self-worth. When you start viewing pain as a teacher, not an enemy, you stop running from it. You start using it. Because pain, when harnessed, becomes power. And power built from pain is unbreakable. Puzzle piece 5. Self-regulation, the calm within the chaos. Emotional resilience doesn't mean you never lose control. It means you know how to find your center when you do. When emotions surge, anger, fear, doubt, pause. Breathe. Step back. Observe instead of react. Most people sabotage themselves not because of what happens to them, but because of how they react to it. Reacting is impulsive. Responding is intentional. Resilience gives you the space to choose a ladder. Because when you control your emotions, you control your outcomes. The calmest person in the room often holds the most power, not because they're emotionless, but because they've mastered themselves. That's emotional intelligence in motion. That's resilience at work. Sunrise over Mountain 6. The power of reframing. What if instead of asking, why is this happening to me, you asked, what is this teaching me? That single question can change your life. Reframing is the art of finding meaning in pain. It's how resilient people turn breakdowns into breakthroughs. When you shift your focus from loss to lesson, from chaos to clarity, you reclaim your narrative, because perspective determines peace. You can't always control what happens, but you can always control what it means to you. And meaning gives you strength when motivation fades. Speech Balloon 7. The voices in your head. Sometimes the storm isn't around you, it's inside you. That inner critic that says you're not enough. That fear that whispers, what if you fail again? That doubt that grows louder every time life knocks you down. Resilience is learning to talk back, to replace self-pity with self-belief, to replace fear with faith, to remind yourself, I've survived worse. I'm still here. Because that's the truth. You are still here. And that means the story isn't over yet. The voice in your head doesn't have to be your enemy. Train it to become your coach. You can't control the thoughts that appear, but you can control the ones you listen to. Light bulb 8. The resilient mindset. The resilient don't see failure as final. They see it as feedback. They don't expect life to be fair. They expect themselves to be prepared. They don't live in avoidance. They live in acceptance. They've learned that broken doesn't mean beaten. It means rebuilt, stronger, smarter, wiser. And that's the real beauty of resilience. It doesn't return you to who you were. It rebuilds you into who you're meant to be. So, when you're in the middle of your storm, remember this. It's not there to destroy you. It's there to develop you. Sunrise 9. Rising again. You will fall. You will fail. You will break. But resilience says, get up anyway. You may not be who you were, but that's the point. Every fall reshapes you. Every comeback refines you. You are not the storm you survived. You are the calm that followed. And that calm carries wisdom, strength, and courage that can never be taught, only earned. Resilience doesn't make life easier. It makes you unstoppable. Because when life hits hard and you still rise, you prove something sacred. That no storm, no heartbreak, no failure has the power to end your story. You do. Chapter 8. Purpose and passion. Reigniting your why. There's a moment in every person's life when they wake up and realize they've been moving but not really going anywhere. You get the job. You hit the targets. You buy the things. Yet deep down, something still feels missing. That's not failure. That's your soul whispering, you were made for more. Because life without purpose feels like motion without meaning. You can be busy and still feel empty. Productive but directionless. Successful but lost. And that emptiness isn't a curse. It's a compass. It's your inner signal that it's time to realign. This chapter is about that realignment. It's about rediscovering your why, the fire beneath your actions, the reason behind your resilience, and a heartbeat that keeps you moving when life loses its spark. Fire 1. The power of why. Everything starts with why. Without it, goals are hollow. Effort feels forced. Progress becomes mechanical. But when your why is strong, everything changes. You wake up differently. You push through differently. You live with clarity and conviction. Simon Sinek said it best. People don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. But that truth isn't just for business. It's for life. Your why gives meaning to the struggle and direction to the hustle. It turns pain into purpose and obstacles into opportunities. And here's the truth. Your why doesn't have to be grand. It just has to be true. It could be your children, your community, your personal evolution. Whatever drives you to rise when you could fall. That's your why. Light bulb 2. The danger of disconnection. We live in an age of performance. Everyone's achieving, chasing, showing, scrolling. But few are connected. We replace purpose with pressure. Pressure to prove, to compare, to perform. That's why burnout is so common. Not because people work too much, but because they work without meaning. They climb ladders that lead to walls they never wanted to lean on. And when that emptiness hits, it's easy to panic, to think, I've wasted my time. But you haven't. You just reached the awareness stage, the point where you stop chasing and start creating. Disconnection isn't the end. It's the beginning of clarity. Because once you realize what doesn't fulfill you, you're finally free to pursue what does. Seedling 3. Listening to the whisper. Purpose doesn't always come as a roar. Most times it's a whisper, a quiet nudge in your gut that says, this matters. It's that moment you help someone and feel alive. That idea that keeps you awake at night. That thing you do even if no one paid you, even if no one clapped. That's your purpose speaking. But most people ignore it because it doesn't fit logic or society's checklist. They silence it with practicality, the safe path, the sensible choice. But purpose doesn't care about safe. It cares about real. And when you start following that whisper, you start aligning your life with something far more powerful than goals. Calling. Fire 4. The alignment principle. True fulfillment doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing what matters. Purpose lives in alignment. When your values, goals, and actions all point in the same direction, ask yourself, are you chasing what you truly want or what you think you should want? Are your daily actions serving your long-term mission? Are you saying yes to things that drain or things that build? Every time you act out of alignment, you trade authenticity for approval. And nothing kills passion faster than living for validation. When you start aligning your choices with your values, something incredible happens. Your life starts to flow. Decisions become easier. Work feels lighter. Obstacles turn into stepping stones. That's not coincidence. That's alignment. Thought Balloon 5. Passion is a practice. We talk about passion like it's something we find, but passion is something we build. It grows through curiosity, commitment, and consistency. You don't wait for it. You work for it. You try, fail, learn, adjust. You explore what excites you, what challenges you, what moves you. And eventually, you discover that passion is less about intensity and more about intimacy. The deep connection you build with your craft, your mission, your life. The more you invest in something meaningful, the more meaning it returns to you. So stop waiting to feel passionate. Start showing up. Passion follows presence. Brick 6. When the fire fades. Even when you know your purpose, there will be days it feels dim. Days when fatigue, doubt, and failure make you question everything. That's normal. Purpose doesn't eliminate struggle. It gives it meaning. When your fire fades, don't walk away. Reignite it. Revisit your why. Remember who you're doing it for. Reconnect with gratitude, not for where you are, but for how far you've come. Because every purpose-driven person will face moments when the mission feels heavier than the reward. That's the test. To stay committed not because it's easy, but because it's right. Gemstone 7. Service. The hidden secret of purpose. Here's something powerful. True purpose often reveals itself in service. When you stop asking, what can I get? And start asking, what can I give? Everything changes. The happiest, most fulfilled people aren't the ones who collect the most. They're the ones who contribute the most. Because purpose isn't about you. It's about through you. It's what happens when your talents, your struggles, and your growth become a blessing to others. The wounds you've healed, the lessons you've learned, they become someone else's survival guide. That's not coincidence. That's legacy. Sunrise 8. Purpose equals power. When you live with purpose, you become unstoppable. Obstacles don't disappear, but they lose their power. Failure doesn't define you. It refines you. Purpose turns fear into focus, pain into perspective, and work into worship. You stop needing permission. You stop chasing applause. You move with certainty because your direction is no longer external. It's internal. When you know your why, the how will always appear. And that's when life shifts from endurance to enthusiasm, from surviving to thriving. Dove 9. Your why is waiting. If you lost your spark, that's okay. You haven't failed. You've just drifted. And drifting is reversible. The key is to pause. Reflect. Ask yourself the real questions. What matters most to me? What makes me feel alive? What impact do I want to leave behind? Your purpose doesn't hide. It waits. And when you're ready to listen, it speaks loud and clear. So, reignite your why. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Now. Because the moment you reconnect with purpose, every part of your life, your work, your relationships, your mindset, begins to rise in harmony. And that's when you stop just existing and start truly living. Chapter 9. Winning Energy. Protecting your peace, power, and presence. You can't win the war for your dreams if you're running on empty. You can have all the ambition, vision, and intelligence in the world. But if your energy is scattered, drained, or distracted, your greatness will never reach its full form. That's the silent truth about success. It's not just about how hard you work. It's about how aligned your energy is. And in today's world, energy is the new currency. People don't just lose because they're not skilled. They lose because they're exhausted. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually exhausted. This chapter is about protecting that invisible power source, the one that fuels your focus, peace, and presence. Because the truth is, you don't need more hours in your day. You need more energy in your hours. High voltage 1. Energy is everything. Everything you do, every goal you chase, every person you love, every habit you keep draws from one central resource, your energy. When it's high, even problems feel manageable. When it's low, even small things feel overwhelming. That's why high performers protect their energy like a fortress. They don't just plan their schedule, they plan their state. Because success doesn't start on your calendar. It starts in your chemistry. Think about it. How many times have you blamed your circumstances when really it was your state of mind that decided how you performed? When your energy is clean, you think clearly. When your energy is cluttered, everything feels heavy. So before you fix your goals, fix your vibe, because your energy introduces you before you even speak. Brain 2. Mental energy. Guard your thoughts. Your mind is your greatest asset, but it can also be your biggest energy leak. Most people don't realize that overthinking is one of the most expensive habits in the world. It drains your focus, rewires your confidence, and keeps you stuck in loops of self-doubt. Every negative thought is like a pop-up ad in your brain, demanding attention, wasting power. The strongest minds aren't the ones without problems. They're the ones who choose their focus with discipline. You don't need to control every thought. You just need to redirect them. When your mind drifts toward fear, bring it back to gratitude. When it fixates on what's missing, remind it of what's working. Energy follows attention. Where your focus goes, your power flows. So protect your mental space like sacred ground. Not everyone deserves a front row seat in your head. Speech Balloon 3. Emotional energy. Don't feed every feeling. Emotions are powerful, but power without discipline creates chaos. You can't control what you feel, but you can control what you feed. Anger, jealousy, resentment. These emotions demand fuel, and the more you focus on them, the stronger they grow. So when something triggers you, don't rush to react. Pause, breathe, step back, ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Most of the time, it's not. Maturity isn't about never being angry. It's about learning when to stay silent. It's about realizing peace is more valuable than proving a point, because your emotional energy shapes your aura, your vibe, your presence, your power. When you stay calm in chaos, people feel it. That's the quiet strength of emotional mastery. Shield 4. Environmental energy. Choose your space wisely. Your environment is either fueling you or draining you. There's no neutral ground. Look around. Does your space inspire you or distract you? Do your surroundings remind you of what you want or what you've lost? Your physical space mirrors your mental state. Clutter outside often reflects clutter inside, and this extends beyond places. It includes people. Some people leave you feeling lighter. Others leave you feeling like you just ran an emotional marathon. Protect your circle. You can't build an abundant life surrounded by people addicted to chaos. It's not selfish to protect your peace. It's strategic, because energy is contagious. Choose wisely what you absorb. Sunrise 5. Spiritual energy. Stay connected to your center. There's a kind of energy that no diet, workout, or productivity hack can give you. Spiritual energy. It's that deep peace that comes from knowing you're aligned with something greater than yourself. You tap into it when you pray, meditate, reflect, or simply sit in gratitude. It's not religious. It's relational. It's the relationship you have with stillness, with meaning, with your higher purpose. In silence, you recharge. In gratitude, you expand. And in faith, whatever faith means to you, you find strength that logic can't explain. Because no matter how advanced life becomes, no technology will ever replace interconnection. When your spirit is centered, your actions flow with power. Battery 6. The law of energy exchange. Every interaction is an exchange of energy. You either give or take, charge or drain, rise or fall. And the secret to sustained success is to manage that exchange consciously. If something drains you consistently, a job, a habit, a relationship, it's a message, not a punishment. It's life saying, this is not your frequency anymore. The longer you stay where your soul feels tired, the dimmer your light becomes. But when you operate in alignment, doing what fulfills you, connected with those who uplift you, your energy multiplies. Energy expands where it's respected. It collapses where it's abused. So if you want to stay powerful, become selective about what you engage with, because your energy isn't infinite, but it is renewable when used wisely. Fire 7. The rhythm of rest. The world glorifies hustle, but the wise glorify rhythm. Because there's no productivity without recovery. There's no creativity without rest. Even the sun sets. Even the ocean pauses between waves. Rest isn't weakness. It's strategy. You can't pour from an empty cup, and you can't create from a chaotic mind. So schedule rest with the same intensity you schedule work. Guard your sleep. Honor your downtime. Because when you rest right, you don't lose time. You gain clarity. And clarity is the sharpest tool a winner can wield. Crosswords 8. Protecting your presence. Presence is your superpower. In a distracted world, being fully here is rare. Most people are physically present but mentally elsewhere, stuck in past regrets or future worries. But presence is where life actually happens. When you're truly present, you connect deeper, perform sharper, and live fuller. You hear the tone behind the words. You feel the moment instead of rushing through it. You become magnetic. Because real presence is energy that others can feel. The secret? Slow down. Breathe. Observe. You're not missing life. Life is happening right now. And your ability to stay grounded in it determines the quality of everything you create. Gemstone 9. The power equation. If there's one formula for lasting power, it's this. Energy, focus, consistency, momentum, mastery. It all begins with energy. If your energy is weak, focus breaks. If focus breaks, consistency fades. Without consistency, momentum dies. And without momentum, mastery never arrives. So protect your first link, your energy, and the rest will follow. That's the foundation of all high performance, fulfillment, and peace. Because in the end, the goal isn't to just get more done. It's to do it with power, peace, and purpose intact. That's winning energy. Chapter 10. The Code of Continuity. Becoming unstoppable. There comes a point in every journey where you stop asking, how do I start? And begin asking, how do I keep going? Because starting is exciting. It's fueled by emotion, curiosity, adrenaline. But staying the course? That's where the real champions are made. Success isn't built on moments of motivation. It's built on momentum. And momentum doesn't come from doing everything. It comes from doing the right things consistently, even when the world goes quiet, even when no one is clapping, even when you don't feel like it. That's the code of continuity. The mindset that transforms effort into empire. Gear 1. The momentum law. Momentum is a strange thing. At first, it's hard to build. Every push feels heavy. Every step feels slow. But once it starts, once the flywheel begins to turn, your effort multiplies. Things that once took all your energy become natural, almost effortless. That's why consistency beats intensity. Anyone can work hard for a day. Few can show up day after day, especially when it's inconvenient. Because success doesn't care about your mood. It rewards your discipline. And the most successful people in the world are not the smartest or luckiest. They're the ones who master the rhythm of showing up. Even small actions, repeated daily, create massive shifts over time. That's how habits become identity. And identity becomes destiny. Compass 2. Discipline over emotion. There will be days when your motivation vanishes. Days when you wake up tired, uninspired, and questioning everything. That's where discipline steps in. Motivation starts a journey. Discipline keeps it alive. Discipline says, I made a promise to myself, and I'm keeping it, no matter how I feel. The world often glorifies passion, but discipline is the silent architect of every great story. Passion burns hot and fast. Discipline burns steady and long. Think of it like this. Passion lights the fire, but discipline keeps the flame alive through the storm. When you train your mind to act beyond emotion, you unlock a form of freedom most people never taste, because you stop being ruled by mood and start being led by mission. Brick 3. The compounding power of small wins. We live in a world obsessed with overnight success, but the truth is, lasting success is always stacked. Brick by brick, win by win, habit by habit. The small things you do daily, the ones no one sees, the ones you think don't matter, those are the ones that shape your future. Because small wins build confidence, and confidence builds momentum. And momentum, that's unstoppable. The trick is to stop chasing perfection and start chasing progress. Every rep counts. Every effort adds up. Every day you show up, even 1% better, you're building something that consistency will one day turn into greatness. High voltage 4. Mastering the bounce back. Let's be honest, life will hit you. You'll fail. You'll fall. You'll lose things you thought you couldn't live without. But here's what separates the winners from the watchers. Resilience. Winners don't avoid failure. They extract lessons from it. Every setback carries seeds of strength. Every delay hides direction. When things fall apart, ask not, why me? Ask, what is this teaching me? Because the comeback will always be stronger than the setback if you choose to rise. Resilience is less about toughness and more about trust. Trusting that even when it hurts, it's shaping you into who you're meant to become. Lightbulb 5. The ritual of reflection. Continuity isn't just about doing. It's about reviewing. Every high performer has a ritual of reflection. They pause, they measure, they ask hard questions. What worked? What didn't? What can I do better? Because without reflection, even progress becomes repetition. Reflection gives meaning to motion. It turns experience into wisdom and effort into mastery. So schedule time to slow down. Think, write, review. Your future self will thank you for the clarity. Fire 6. Protecting the vision. Every dream has enemies: doubt, distraction, discouragement. If you don't guard your vision, the world will rewrite it for you. Protect it from negativity, from comparison, from noise. Keep it close. Feed it daily, because people will forget your goals. The world will move on, but your vision, that's your responsibility. It's what gets you up when comfort tells you to stay in bed. It's what whispers, keep going, when everything else says stop. And every time you choose your vision over your comfort, your future thanks you. Person in lotus position 7. Adapt or fade. Consistency doesn't mean rigidity. The best performers don't just keep doing the same thing. They evolve. They study patterns, learn from feedback, pivot when necessary. Because life is seasonal, and every season demands a new version of you. If you cling to old methods in a new season, you'll get frustrated. But when you embrace growth, when you stay flexible and curious, you remain unstoppable. Adaptation isn't weakness, it's intelligence. Because progress isn't about never changing. It's about never stopping. Crosswords 8. Becoming unstoppable. Unstoppable doesn't mean you never fall. It means you never stay down. It's the combination of mindset, discipline, and purpose that keeps you rising again and again until the world has no choice but to notice. Unstoppable people don't have it easier. They've just made peace with the process. They've accepted that greatness requires grit, that fatigue is part growth, that silence is part of success. When others quit, they recalibrate. When others complain, they create. When others sleep on their dreams, they wake up earlier. Because unstoppable isn't something you are. It's something you choose. Every single day. Sunrise 9. The code lives on. By now, you've learned the blueprint. The mental rewiring, the resilience, the energy protection, the purpose alignment, the unstoppable drive. But knowledge means nothing without execution. The code isn't something you memorize. It's something you live, in your actions, in your discipline, in your energy. And once you start living it, you realize something powerful. Success was never out there. It was always in you, waiting for permission, waiting for consistency, waiting for belief. You are the code. You are the continuity. You are the unstoppable force you've been seeking. Rocket 10. Call to action. Step into your power. So here's your call. Don't let this be another audiobook you listened to and forgot. Let it be the one that woke something up inside you. Take what you've learned, the mindset shifts, the emotional mastery, the daily discipline, and live it. Start small. Start messy. But start now. Let today be the day you decide to go all in on your growth, your mission, your freedom. Because if not now, when? And if not you, who? You have what it takes. You've always had it. Now it's time to prove it to yourself. Remember this. The future doesn't belong to the talented. It belongs to the consistent. To those who show up even when it's hard. You're not waiting for your moment. You're creating it. So go, rise, build, and never stop. Because once you master the code of continuity, you don't just chase success. You become it.